Hey, Cornerstone people. In the previous video, we were talking about growth mindset and basically the difference between growth mindset and fixed mindset is that with a fixed mindset, you think you are not able to develop more skills that can propel you forward and help you become more successful. With a growth mindset, we are willing to develop skills that help to enhance our way of life, help us to become more successful, not only in our work world, but in our personal relationships. And there was three things between fixed and growth mindsets from the previous video. People with a fixed mindset are really sometimes not willing to put in the extra effort or the hard work to develop these new tasks or to work on these tasks and develop these new skills. Fixed mindset people tend to shy away from challenges. They're afraid of failure. People with growth mindset are willing to take on a challenge and try to learn something new. People with fixed mindsets are afraid of making mistakes. They're embarrassed. People with a growth mindset are willing to step out there, take a risk, and look at it as a learning opportunity. So if you're in a fixed mindset, and a lot of us are kind of probably in between fixed and developing growth, okay? So here are some things that we can do to develop a growth mindset to help propel us forward in our education or in our careers or with our families to build a much more fuller life, okay? So changing one's mindset from a fixed perspective to a growth mindset may seem daunting, but by taking baby steps, anyone who wants to can build a growth mindset, okay? This comes back to those SMART goals we talked about picking out a few things you want to work on, set a time frame when you hope to get better, and how will you know when you're achieving those successes so you can feel confident and also feel some joy and have some satisfaction to improve your mental stability and your quality of life. All right, so step number one, here's one thing we can do. Acknowledge and embrace imperfection in self and others, as it is the spice that makes us individuals. We all have flaws, peculiarities, and weirdness, our imperfections. Like the small black mole on Marilyn Monroe's face, our imperfections make us unique, okay? So we have to accept that we are not perfect and that other people are not perfect, okay? If we're not perfect, we can't always expect everyone else to be perfect and then get mad. We really need to be willing to accept ourselves for who we are, know we have some faults, and give everybody else a pass occasionally, okay? Number two, face your challenges bravely. Sorry guys, I can't even, let me try a different way to do this. If you find yourself terrified in the face of a serious challenge, stop and reframe the situation in your mind, which means to think of it from a different perspective. Consider your challenge as an opportunity that will slightly shift your perspective to make it easier for you to engage. Each challenge or opportunity invites us into a new experience that is a sort of adventure. Try different tactics to coach yourself about how to explore a new path or how to develop a new skill or how to interact with a new group of people or to navigate through new circumstances. As an adventure, fear is an acceptable feeling. You press forward anyway because it's exciting and new. If you take the same attitude with a crisis at work or whatever the challenge, you can discover abilities you didn't know you even possessed. So in March, when COVID hit, they said we were going online. We had very little of our classroom materials ready to go online. We had a week to start, honing our skills and becoming more familiar with online testing platforms, video platforms, and in order to keep our jobs, we had to jump in there and do it. So, I got a piece of paper out and wrote down my classes, knew I had a Monday, Tuesday, whatever the deadline was at that school. We went online, I think it might have been a Wednesday, and I knew I had to have materials ready by then. So I set up some short goals. I didn't try to develop all 4 classes in 1 week. And I just had to say, what do I need? And I need to have classes ready to go by Wednesday. And I started working through a little bit of each class while looking at online platforms to help me. Okay. Exhausting. 16, 18-hour days sitting in front of a computer. My family thought I was going to lose my mind because I would just sit there and stare at a computer and try to figure stuff out. Okay. But I set up some short goals for myself so I would feel like I was accomplishing some things. I didn't try to write 4 curriculums and put it all online in 4 days. Too big of a task. Okay, number 3, pay attention to your words and thoughts. Start to pay attention to the words you speak, even the words in your mind. If your words are low or dark, the results may be also. So watch yourself. Listen to what you are saying and thinking. Censor yourself and become your own guide. Replace negative thoughts with more positive ones to build a growth mindset. Replace judgment with acceptance, and that's really hard to do because we really like to judge everybody else. And sometimes when people are different, it's hard to accept them. But that helps you develop a growth mindset. So replace hate with compassion. If you are disrespecting yourself or lowering your ethical standards, the outcome of your decisions and their consequences will reflect that. Intend to think higher thoughts and hold yourself to it. So if you're always running yourself down, you need to stop, okay? That's not a positive growth mindset. You need to look for the good things in yourself. We all have flaws, but you need to focus on what you're good at and then try to replace those negative thoughts with positive ones about yourself. You will stop feeling so bad about yourself and you will start seeing the good in others instead of what you think might be the bad in others. Number 4, boy, did I struggle with this one for years, okay? Stop seeking approval from others. Approval from others can often prevent a growth mindset. If you're always running around trying to please everybody else, you're working on their schedule and not your own. The years we've spent in tears because someone didn't like us, and when we look back later, was that person even worthy of us worrying about for that long or being upset about? Were they perfect? No. They were just trying to make everybody else think they were and make everybody else feel bad so they could feel superior. So stop worrying about getting approval from others for you to have a good self-image or self-value. Cultivate self-acceptance and self-approval. That's Toby. That's my dog. Learn to trust yourself. You're the only person who will always be there for you in your life, so you're the only one you need to impress. I started reading a book on this word, authenticity. Take a step deeper into authenticity. You'll hear phrases about your authentic self. Pretending to be someone who you are not disrespects who you really are. Let me say that again. Pretending to be someone who you are not disrespects who you really are. It makes you fake. It diminishes what you have to offer. Becoming truly authentic is a process that takes time and a lot of inner work. Once you do, you'll likely be more driven to pursue your true goals, which puts you into a growth mindset. Okay? It's like accepting who you really are, acknowledging you have strengths, and knowing what you need to work on to improve yourself. Number 6, another way to develop a growth mindset is to cultivate a sense of purpose. Does your life feel like it is purpose driven? If yes, define for yourself what that purpose encompasses. If you are drawing a blank, ask that your life's purpose become clear to you. Meditate or contemplate on purpose and see what tidbits come through until you feel like you know the essence of your purpose, or perhaps part of it. Then pursue it. That's what will help you build a growth mindset. Number 6 to me would be hard. Okay. We all have what we call different hats that we wear. I'm a mom. I'm a daughter, friend, instructor, co-worker, but what's my purpose? Okay. From the family perspective, I want to make sure that my children who are adult or becoming adults have someone there as a safety net that they can talk to. As a wife, I want to know that I'm there for my spouse because we're entering close to our retirement years, that we are able to have a good time and have some things to do that we enjoy. As a coworker, I want to be able to pull my share of the workload. As a teacher, I want to provide the best instruction that I can for my students to keep them motivated, to help them be successful. And so, a sense of purpose. Why do you get up in the morning? Okay, think about those things. Number 7, redefine genius. We all have strengths and weaknesses. Explore and appreciate your strengths and work to improve your weaknesses. This effort can help you build a growth mindset. My strengths are I tend to be very organized. I can be compassionate. My weaknesses, in my view, are that I'm not a real charismatic speaker. In certain situations, I do not feel like I do well in public speaking. So I'm always guarded about that, and I try to watch that. Try to not be so judgmental, try to be more compassionate. These are all things that different ones of us have to work on. Someone who's really charismatic and walks into the room and takes over, sometimes they need to learn to hold back a little bit and let someone else have a moment to shine. Okay? So you have to recognize your strengths and weaknesses. Number 8, turn criticism around until you find its gift. Boy, is that tough. We all say we want constructive criticism. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Tell us what's wrong so we can get better. Do we really want to hear that? Maybe on a certain day, depending on how everything else is going around us. But boy, trying to find the gifts in criticism is a hard one. For me, the purpose of criticism is to make things better. Someone else can see what you're doing from a slightly different perspective than you and may have some valuable suggestions for you. If you open up to hearing suggestions, you can more easily develop your growth mindset. Number 9, value the process over the end result. That means the journey to getting someplace may be more valuable than getting there at the very end. Remember, it's the journey that matters, not the destination. Some people go on a vacation and they get in a car and they drive like crazy. They don't pay any attention to anything around them. They're going to get there by 9 p.m. and that's their goal. They forget to enjoy the scenery around them. They forget to take those side roads and find those little hole-in-the-wall restaurants or find those little flea markets where you might find a precious treasure for $1 or $2 and make you feel like you really did something that day. With education, your goal is to get that diploma. But as you're going through these classes, life gets ahead of us sometimes. We have children, we have aging parents, we have lots of things to do. But sometimes there's joy just in the process of learning, Okay? Reading something new that you haven't thought of before and think about it for a few minutes. That kind of takes your mind away from those daily struggles that overwhelm us sometimes. Okay? So the process, you can learn a lot from the process, sometimes more than just ending up with the result. Okay? Learn from the mistakes of others. If you can learn from the mistakes of others, then you may be able to make fewer mistakes. This can sometimes calm the fear of trying new things, a key aspect of building a growth mindset. This is important, how you present this to your friends, to your family. We've all made mistakes. And if we can present how we've learned from those mistakes to people around us to help them not make the same mistakes, but you have to do it in a way that you're not acting like a complete authority, that you're not telling them what they're doing is dumb, that you give them a clue into what might happen that they're not thinking of. That's parenting, okay? That's being a friend, trying to say, hey, I did something like that, and saying it with a humbleness, not like you're all in authority. Say, I did that one time. This is what happened for me. It wasn't the best experience. It might work out better for you, but here's some things that I learned. You can always say things in a non-offensive, calming way to try to help someone. Okay? Number 11, not yet is okay. When struggling with a task, remind yourself that you just haven't mastered it yet. If you stick with it, time and practice will lead to improvement. That can be playing sports. That can be developing artistic talent. I like to fish. If any of you fish, my husband has used a bait casting reel for years, and I have never been able to do that. This past summer, once my kids were out of the house, I put a target in the backyard and I threw that reel until I finally learned how to throw a bait casting reel. I love to fish. It was really important, but in the past, we always had kids in the boat. I never had time to do this. I was always chasing kids. But that was always something that really frustrated me. And he tried to teach me, when spouses or significant others try to help you learn how to do something, that can be like, because they do it one way. And, my husband is 6'2". I am 5'3". The angles aren't the same. So I got irritated. So I went and Googled it. Thought, well, what's somebody else's perspective on how to do this? And I figured it out, And so that was a big deal for me. But it was something that, I thought I could never do. But I had a little bit of extra time, and I learned how to do that. Okay. For some of you, it may be cooking. For some of you, it may be sewing. For some of you, it may be how to put a PowerPoint together. Okay. How to do Google Slides. All right. So you may not be perfect at it yet, but if you keep practicing and trying, eventually you will improve. Number 12, take risk in the company of others. Try not to take yourself too seriously. Be willing to make mistakes in front of others, because if you're growing, this is bound to happen. And making mistakes in front of others will usually get easier with practice. Yeah, that's a difficult one for me too. Okay. 13, be realistic. It takes time, sometimes lots of time, to learn a new skill, like learning a new language or learning to play an instrument or learning how to become a good lawyer. Keeping this in mind can help with the growth mindset. So realizing that what you want to accomplish may take time, and don't expect it to happen overnight. You may think, I'm going to work on this, and then life gets in the way and you forget about it and come back to it 6 months later and go, oh yeah, I was trying to be better in this area. That's okay. 14, speed is not important. When you have a growth mindset, the result the end results are less of a focus. Instead, you fully engage and put effort into the process, no matter how long it takes. Incidentally, focusing on the process also improves results because you did put a lot of effort in along the way. So, like we said before, some people want to get to the Excel Center. They want to get that diploma and out the door. They're going to college. Maybe they need to take a few more classes to develop those study skills. You may walk in with all your math credits, but when was the last time you were in a math class? 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago? Do you remember all the math basics? Maybe you need to stay an extra term and work on those math skills, okay, to get you ready to go into a college setting so you don't walk in there and feel overwhelmed, okay? 15, own your own attitude. If you value having a growth mindset, then take the time and make the effort to develop it. Persist and opportunities will come. Cultivate resilience along the way. You are remolding your mind, and that's a pretty cool thing. In sum, growth mindset means 1, embraces challenges, persists in the face of setbacks, takes responsibility for their words and actions, and acknowledges that effort is the path toward mastery. It is basically the reason why practice makes perfect. By choosing to make the effort to build a growth mindset, you can make your mental processes to work for you, resulting in a greater likelihood that you get the results you're looking for and live the life you want to live. Okay? So, we are always focused on school, or work, and that's good. You need to be. But don't take everything you learn from this and just apply it to work and school. Try to have what we call a holistic view. Try to work on it with your family. Try to work on yourself with your family. Don't try to change your family. To work on yourself first. And try to improve some of the relationships in your life. And then the whole of your life may become a little bit easier. Maybe kind of rough at first. People don't like change, okay? And every now and then, I'll change my attitude or change the way I feel about something, and some of my friends will be like, well, you used to think this way. I said, yeah, used to. I've got a different perspective now. Some people don't adapt to change well, okay? They're kind of stuck in that fixed mindset, and they're afraid to step out of that comfort zone. So you have to be careful how you deal with other people, but it's important that you grow and that you model that for people around you. They may not be, and they may not even know you're doing it, but, when you become more relaxed and more accepting, it takes the edge off of everybody else too. And it won't happen overnight, but it may bring some calmness to your personal life also. Okay, so we've seen this video, and now there'll be an activity that follows. All right, thanks, guys.